I sort of find myself hovering around the same question from various different angles. It's a variation on the theme of how do you deal with people who believe things that aren't true? Because the effort they put into believing things that aren't true is superhuman. We'll talk a little later this morning to Fraser Knight, who was chased essentially out of Birmingham by a group of Asian men last night who were fearful of the kind of riots and attacks that we've seen in lots of other parts of Great Britain in recent days arriving on their doorstep. There'd been warnings bubbling all day that was going to happen. The response utterly unacceptable, borderline criminal. And footage of those moments will be used by the racist liars to claim that there is some sort of balance, that the people looting shops, setting fire to hotels full of human beings, attacking our police, endangering the lives of not only themselves and everybody around them, but also police officers and entirely innocent bystanders, kicking in the doors of Asian families who have committed the crime of being brown. There'll be attempts by the racist liars responsible for the riots that we're seeing at the moment, the Farage riots, as you might like to call them. There'll be desperate attempts to claim that the appalling behaviour of some Asian men in Birmingham last night is somehow... In fact, if I turn to my inbox now, there'll be people saying, I bet you won't be talking about that, will you? But of course I will, because I am not a racist liar. I'm neither racist nor a liar, which puts me in direct opposition to people like Nigel Farage and Tommy Ten Names and the bloke out of Lewis who wasn't Lewis. Bizarrely, a Daily Mail columnist today turns on the last two for spreading their evil bile, which is about as close to the quintessence of irony as it is possible to get. So how do you deal with people who believe things that aren't true? Almost every inquiry into the Metropolitan Police Service in recent years has found them to be institutionally racist. But Nigel Farage comes out and speaks undiluted bilge about them somehow coming down harder on white people than they do on non-white people, referencing non-existent problems with the policing of Black Lives Matter's protest march during the middle of lockdown when coronavirus restrictions were in place. And it's such a tired routine now. Farage says something the racists love. They know it's not true. He certainly knows it's not true, but they don't care. The racists love it. And then some complete Charlie on Sky News stops the Metropolitan Police Commissioner and asks a variation on the question, when did you stop beating your wife? You ask someone, are you going to stop two-tier policing, which doesn't exist? Then you are asking a question based on the premise that it does. Absolutely appalling. 8 minutes after 10 is the time. So there are various countries that we're living in at the moment, all at the same time. There's one where you are fearful of having your community torched tonight or tomorrow, or indeed where your community has already been torched. I mean, that is really the crucible of the current crisis, that there are people... I was struck yesterday by our first caller from up in Rotherham, just talking about his normal Monday morning routine would be to do the big shop at the Aldi that was over the road from the hotel that the racist rioters set fire to. And it was confirmed, of course, by a Times journalist who was there, that they had attempted to block one of the fire escapes with burning bins. I just stop and think about that, you know? So that's one country. Some people listening to this program live in that country. They live in a part of the country where their community has already been set on fire by terrorists. And there will be people listening to this program who live in parts of the country that are currently fearful of being next. It could be my part of the country next. And then there are people who, by dint of their ethnicity or their religion, are fearful of being personally victimised. I heard a 17-year-old girl being interviewed on the radio this morning whose door, I literally, they locked all the doors, locked all the windows, moved upstairs, closed all the curtains, closed all the blinds, and stood impotently by while these racist rioters smashed their car up because they knew that the family inside was brown. The car, incidentally, would have been used by her mother that night to travel to the home of the disabled girl that she is a carer for, but she couldn't go because the car had been written off. Such was the violence of the attack. They tried to kick the door in. Happily, they failed. They smashed the window above the door, and the family were cowering upstairs. I just want you to stop, especially, and I listen, you know how naive and idealistic I am. I still think I can reach you. Otherwise, I wouldn't come to work every day. I still think I can reach you if you're sitting there polishing your racist lies, polishing your picture of Tommy Ten Names or Nigel Farage. I still think I can reach you because I want you to imagine what it would be like if that was your family. Right, we've all closed the curtains, darling. Pull down the blinds. Everybody upstairs. Be quiet. Keep your head down. Watching on social media, watching on TikTok as this rampaging mob arrives at the top of your street, baying for your blood, shouting out the name of your God in the most pejorative of terms. And then you turn on your radio and you find some complete Charlie claiming that it's not Islamophobic. Attacking a mosque is not Islamophobic. I heard some of this yesterday. I don't know whether you did. Just run it by me how attacking a synagogue isn't anti-Semitic, and then we can talk about how attacking a mosque is not Islamophobic. But you're watching them on TikTok. They're at the bottom of your street. And they're coming for you because you're Irish, because you're Welsh, because you're white. Just get under the bed. Get under the bed, darling. You're watching them on TikTok. I heard an interview with a shopkeeper. Reckoned he was about 10 seconds away from not getting the shutters down in time to keep the rioters out, heading for his shop because he's a Muslim. But it's not Islamophobic. Oh, and by the way, there's two-tier policing because if the Muslims were setting fire to hotels, then they'd all be arrested. Or no, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't. No, they would. If the Muslims committed crimes that they haven't committed, they wouldn't. Two-tier policing. Unbelievable. And I used the word pogrom yesterday, and I wondered whether I was exaggerating. But what I've just described to you was, in many ways, akin to hiding from the Nazis in the Second World War. Close all the windows, lock all the doors, get under the beds and hide. The only difference, I suppose, is that those families couldn't watch the crystal-necked rioters marching up their streets on phone screens, praying that it wouldn't be their door next. But just stop and think, what if that was your family? Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Legitimate Concerns. What if that was your family hiding from this mob? And then ask yourselves what you think of the mob. But remember, it's your family that they're coming for because they've got legitimate concerns. They can't tell you what they are, or if they do, it's all lies. Oh, these immigrants get free cars. These asylum seekers get free houses. They steal our jobs and take all our benefits. It's all nonsense. Just imagine it was your family they were coming for. Now tell me what you think of the mob. Oh, they're just good working class people who've been pushed too far. Yeah, they're coming for your family. Yeah, all right, they're not. They're scum and they need to be jailed immediately. In fact, I can't believe it's even... No, they're coming for your family. Yeah, sorry, they're not. They're not good patriots. They're evil scum. They're terrorist scum. And they're attacking the police. What's it like to be the partner of a police officer? What's it like to be the partner of a police officer? Knowing that the people trying to hurt your husband or your wife are claiming to be patriotic. Acting on the incitements of people who actually sit there in the House of Commons in this country. They're being accused while being attacked, while shielding themselves from petrol bombs and bricks. They're being accused of being biased against the people throwing petrol bombs and bricks at them. And the same lazy journalists who have allowed some of these dreadful provocateurs to achieve positions of awful prominence in our country are doing it all again, falling for it all again. Oh, here's the latest racist lie from Nigel Farage, race-baiting lie from Nigel Farage. Let's have a phone in about whether it's true or not. Nah, let's not, actually. Let's have a phone in about how much responsibility he bears for what we're seeing. And I focus on him because he's a member of Parliament. You could focus on Paul Dacre, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mail, who has published so many front pages, deliberately designed to stoke up precisely the sort of anger that has now spilled over into violence, into terrorism, into murderous, potentially, attacks upon police officers and entirely innocent children. And the innocence of children is how this all began. So what you have now is people claiming that they are showing their disdain for an attack upon innocent children by articulating sympathy and support for people launching attacks on innocent children. The 3 little girls killed in Southport, one of whom I think crucially the daughter of immigrants. The 3 little girls killed in Southport by a British-born man. So outraged are these people by that crime. So, too outraged to realise that the lies that prompted their initial response about him being an asylum seeker have done nothing to dampen their rage, because their rage had nothing to do with him being an asylum seeker and everything to do with him being black. British, black, British. Like so many of the athletes that are running at the Olympics at the moment and carrying our hopes and dreams on their shoulders, unless you've fallen for the spiel of the racist liars. So what you have now is people who claim to be articulating disgust at the attack, the murderous attack on innocent children, articulating their disgust by trying to set fire to a hotel containing innocent children. You see why I spend so much time wondering about whether it's possible to reach these people, whether there are any changeable minds in this crucible. What's that you say? You're attacking a hotel full of children. Why? Well, because someone attacked some children. A black man murdered some children. So you're attacking children? Yeah. I'm patriotic. I've got legitimate concerns. I don't know how it plays out. I don't know how it ends, but I do know it keeps getting worse until the people responsible are held to account. Whether the people responsible, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Nigel Farage, whether it's Tommy Ten Names on his sunbed in Cyprus, whether it's the lad from Lewis who wasn't Lewis, spewing his barely literate bile on social media. These are the people telling the rioters that they are justified. They are entitled to do what they do. Spreading the conspiracy theories in Farage's case, and then a few days later expressing mealy-mouthed regret and condemnation of the rioters who, I saw one wearing a T-shirt with his name on it. Maybe not a rioter, maybe just a protester, which I do think is an important distinction to make. So what is the point? Then you've got Lee Anderson literally posting lies about a hotel being full of asylum seekers. In the week that hotels full of asylum seekers were set on fire, one of the 80% of Reform Party MPs who haven't been jailed for attacking British women posts lies about a hotel being full of asylum seekers. Turns out it's full of foreign nurses working in the NHS to keep you and your children healthy and safe. Oh, but let's get him on the telly. Let's invite him onto the radio, have a chat about stuff. It's mad, right? I mean, it is just mad. It's a kid killed by a white man with a sword a few months ago. Do you remember that story? You don't, do you? Shall I tell you why you don't remember that story? It's a black kid and a white man had the sword. Where were the riots? But remember, it's got nothing to do with race or religion, and it's definitely not Islamophobic. Whew. And, of course, you're right, and I'm wrong when you point out to me you shouldn't say a black man killed 3 white girls. It was a boy. It was a 17-year-old boy. But you know that the colour of his skin is the most important element in the violence of the rioters, because they are racist terrorists, terrorising communities. The other country that we live in is the one where you're watching it all unfold on the media. You're watching it all unfold on screens, and you're feeling either absolute horror and heartbreak or you're getting off on it. No way of knowing how many people get off on it. How many people get off on it? More than you think. Disgusting lies about it being somehow class-based. It's not class-based. It's the racism of the golf club sometimes that we've been tracking on this programme for the best part of 20 years. How many of them are there? How many people are sympathetic? Because, they're not like us, are they? The brown ones and the black ones. Too many of them. Oh, it's only the illegal immigrants that I'm cross about. All right, so it's not the ones that have got houses and jobs then. You're absolutely cool with them because they will be economic migrants. I tell you what, it's a good job they're not waving any Palestinian flags, isn't it? These people setting fire to hotels and trying to brain police officers with bricks. Yeah, did you see the story about the ones trying to tear up gravestones in a Christian church? Trying to tear up gravestones so that they could use the detritus to attack the police? Yeah, but I'm Nigel Farage, so I'm going to condemn the police today. Christian values they're defending by tearing up gravestones to lob at the police. Absolutely extraordinary what we're watching, and the ease with which you can trace these crimes to their source is tragically one in which most of the media can't indulge because they are culpable. They are guilty. Those collages of front pages, particularly from the Mail and the Express, are incitements to riot. They always have been. It might have taken 10 years for the riots to ferment, but they always have been. They're just piling tinder into the room, waiting for the spark. And then it came. And it's not confined to the media, of course, although this Nick Timothy character is now an MP. He was responsible both for the disastrous decision to introduce red lines, which made Brexit the inevitable clown show and disaster that it has been. He was also responsible for Theresa May's disastrous decision to call an election in 2017. But he is the kind of person that the Conservative Party still think that they should be promoting into Parliament. And he wrote an article in January of this year claiming that multiculturalism is becoming a Trojan horse for Islamist domination. That's an incitement to riot. Right there. He sits in Parliament. It's not just Farage. There was a Labour MP yesterday talking about asylum seekers in a hotel in her constituency. Her constituents want the hotel back because everyone who stays in a hotel lives in the area. It's a well-known fact about hotels. I don't know if you've been to any hotels lately, but you'll probably bump into your neighbours. Well, you cross the road because, suitcases are heavy. So why do you want to go far afield on holiday when you can check into a Holiday Inn at the bottom of your own street? So all three parties there. Not the SNP, not the Lib Dems. Why aren't there any riots in Scotland? I might ask you that a little later today.